Why are there so many Chinese food restaurants in black neighborhoods? It's due to a very special type of seasoning called
racism. It's what's for dinner.
Back in 1882, the U.S. passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, banning most Chinese immigrants from entering the country. But because the government loves money, it left a loophole. If you were a laborer, no entry. But if you owned a business, you could qualify as a merchant, which meant you could stay and you could bring your family over. Then in 1915, a court ruled that owning a restaurant counted as a business. And just like that, opening a Chinese restaurant became a one-way ticket into America. Then came a new problem in the 1960s. Basically, banks were racist as fudge. If Chinese folks wanted to open up restaurants in white neighborhoods, the answer was often no.
But because the positionality of Asian Americans is weaponized to oppress black people, Asian Americans were being given loans to open businesses in black communities, even though black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities.
Happy Black History Month, y'all.
Hey, Shalom, it's your brother Yonathan, alright? First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodesh. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers, and of course, a few sisters pursuing this truth in sincerity, alright? May the blessing of election be upon your house. I seen this clip earlier today, and I figured I'd use it as a visual aid to illustrate how all the nations, alright, benefit from the nation of Israel being in this downtrodden state, being unsovereign, all right? Our loss of sovereignty is an economic lubricant to everybody. When you talk about that council in Psalms, the 83rd chapter, all the nations, they understood what it meant for them. Us being at the bottom, keeping us in this downtrodden state, they understood how that benefited them in many ways. And we're going to talk about some of it today. You see, there's a recipe for somebody to become a world power. Ancient Assyria and Babylon became empires, partly by plundering Israel. They gained strategic territory for military conquest. You basically have a land bridge between Asia and the land of Canaan, or as people call it, Africa. You gained a whole population of ultra-skilled workers who you could pay for the cheap. You have that slave labor. An entirely new population that you could tax to lubricate your economy. Not to mention, flavor is going to be added to your culture because you have the salt of the earth. Throughout all time and throughout all history, whatever nation the Lord allowed to lay hands on us and take us as a possession, they elevated to new heights. And it's no different with America. I'm going to read a couple of precepts just to back up that the Lord allowed us to be overtaken by these nations. It's of no strength of their own. Okay, this is Isaiah 10:5, going to the Assyrians. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, the Lord used these nations as a punishment unto us. And the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against an hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath, the nation of Israel, will I give him a charge, to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. And this is what happened to the northern kingdom. Habakkuk 1:6. For lo, I will raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. Right, the Lord uses nations as a whooping stick for us. Verse 7. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall precede themselves. Their horses also are swifter than leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. Esau knows how valuable it is to have the nation of Israel in their possession. All right? So when you go to Psalms, the 83rd chapter, he's the one, leading the charge of this confederacy of nations. When you go to look at the World Economic Forum, the Amalekites are leading the charge. When they're behind closed doors, when the cameras are off, conversations are had about the population of the nation of Israel. Okay? Psalms 83:1, it says, Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They made an agreement and a pact. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. In the clip in the beginning of the video, it's just a low-level example of how nations have benefited from keeping us downtrodden. Like the guy in the clip said, loans weren't given out to Jake so that the foundations of their community could be businesses owned by the people that live there. No, they were denied. And the Edomites, they don't look at the other nations as peers either. But they'll give them loans and they'll help them out and use them as a tool to remain on top and allow them to benefit off of us for time being as well. So everything in this society is structured against the nation of Israel. And if you have any spiritual brain cells, you'd be longing to get out of this place. And we know that how does that happen? How does that go down? By the return of Yahushua. Okay? Yahushua needs to be in the forefront of your thoughts and your speech. And to really go into Yahushua, by default, at the same time, you go into prophecy. That's the spirit of Yahushua pursuing the Revelation 19 and verse 10. And it was prophecy that we would be discontinued from our heritage in a strange land, and that the nations, would benefit from us being in this downtrodden state due to our disobedience. Sin is the biggest business in the earth. All right, and the only people technically that can sin are the people of the covenant. And they benefit from us being separated from our power. They sell us everything that we're not supposed to be into. Every wicked agenda, they prop you up in the forefront of it to make more money, to have more influence. And basically, you've become a goon or a henchman for the wicked. Like the whole thing with Burkina Faso. They were going to send a bunch of their population over to Russia so they could set up their own version of an intelligence agency, or CIA, right? Their own version of it. And, build up their military technology and all of that. But they had to stop the program because they realized a lot of the people that were migrating to their country, the so-called black people that were migrating to their country in bulk and mass, and that were going to be a part of this intelligence program, people that were signing up and trying to be a part of it, they were actually agents for America's CIA. So again, Jake is nothing but a pawn for the wicked. They are not all Israel, which are of Israel, as the scriptures say. The stakes for what we're a part of is much bigger than one would perceive, okay? We're aristocrats, and when you look up that word, let me look up this word aristocrats and read the definition in the Edom Online for you all. All right, it says one having high rank in a community, and Abaratazar were part of that number. The elect are the highest ranked of the highest family, okay? And it says an advocate of a aristocratic government. So we're advocating for a new rulership on the earth, but there's one already established. And if you're doing that, by default, you're going to be put in the category of treasonous, and treasonous get put to death. Obviously, if you understand the fullness of the gospel, you know that death isn't final for us, nor is it a deterrent for the elect. We're in the biggest fight, okay? And just like I said in the lesson yesterday, anything you see in the world, you could filter it through the scriptures and bring it to a much higher level and in the bigger perspective. All right, when His Lord is with you, to see things clearly for what they are. All right, Abaratazar, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth in sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon you. Shalom.